Okay, it's 11 o'clock, 11:01. We'll call it a regular public meeting to order. Any public comment? Public comment? Seeing none, we'll move on to commissioner update. Yes,
I was out of office Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday last week, so
Okay,
travel for doctor's appointments. I don't have nothing from last week after the meeting.
Gordon.
I guess I'm the opposite, Doug. I got lots. We had a meeting with Mako Health last week with Pam, Joanne, and Nancy. Talked about what Mako can offer for health insurance. Right now, we have property casualty trust, and we're going to meet with Gary tomorrow on that. So we'll look at both policies, and we've got discussions on those. Last week, I went to Helena and I met with the budget director Osmondson on our purchasing the OMS shop and the National Guards in Culbertson. And state says they have no appropriations, and so it'd have to go through legislator in this spring, and that ain't gonna happen. So the state's not gonna help us purchase that. So we're gonna have to end up purchasing that using county funds for $1,085,000. I kind of put together, we have spots we can get it without. It's all taxpayer money, but it will be property tax money. It'll be other money. Then I went to Fort Harris and Helena there and met with the three gentlemen that are selling us the OMS shop. Met the colonel there, which was kind of neat to actually meet the colonel of the National Guards. And then the two gentlemen, Matthew Dorrington and Joel Miller, that we've been working with. And Joel is kind of Joel is the facility manager. So we're going to have a walkthrough. They're going to send a team down from Helena and go through both facilities and do an inventory of what's there. And then after they decide what they want to take to Malta with them when they close, what's left, we can either have if we want, or if not, they'll dispose of it. And then they also was talked about, they should, for full disclosure, they said in the Army there, they used to have a shooting range where you go in there and shoot your pistols and 22s and whatever else you shoot in there. And this summer, it's going to be the third time they've cleaned that for lead to get the lead out of it. And then they're going to encapsulize that wall so no lead will escape. And they said it's going to cost them $300,000 to do that. So they're spending $300,000 on a facility they're going to end up selling to us. It's crazy. But so that is one of the issues there, but it's not going to be an issue. So it's something to deal with. So it was very interesting working with them. And just on a personal note, my uncle Stanley, he was in the Guards there, and they have a picture of him up on the wall by the colonel's office, and he was kind of a neat. Then I have a second cousin that's a colonel there also, but he was gone in that same facility. So
Do you know when the walkthrough might happen?
they said it will be within probably 3 months, 3 to 4 months.
And Malta, they're going to keep, Malta has an armory.
Malta's got a brand new facility. That's where all this stuff is going to go to Malta. That's why they have to sell this, because they're purchasing one, and the federal government says you build a new, you have to sell one for one. You can't keep on adding. So,
Okay.
and they'd sell at any rate. But again, it's $1 million asset that's going to be tremendous for Roosevelt County. It's going to work out really good. So that was, and then also on as a Helena, we had a PCT, Property Casualty Trust meeting. We set the rates, and for all the counties, our property rates are going to go down a bit, but our liability rates are going to go up because of these nuclear verdicts they've been putting out. These verdicts at $1 million, $2 million, $5 million for liability stuff. It's Montana hasn't seen as much as the rest of the nation has, but still got to be ready for it. And then we had Mako had a kind of a Zoom call, and we talked about the public health master contract. They have a new contract out for our public health, and there's two major issues with that. Is they want $6 million cyber insurance. We have 1 million, and our cyber insurance wouldn't really, I think it's kind of worthless because we're not certified our IT stuff. there's a lot to that, and it's gonna be something this summer we're gonna be working on. Getting certified for cyber insurance and then getting more cyber insurance. Right now, we have 1 million. And I don't even know how we're gonna get 6. I think Mako's gonna have to put together a program to get that, to cover this public health, so. Cyber is gonna be an issue, so we gotta get with Jenna and work on that this summer. Then we talked about land use, which I already talked to Casey about. There's some different things for land use coming up, and wind and solar, especially wind in Roosevelt County might be come into play. So we got to get all our policies and procedures updated there. So Casey will probably talk a little bit more about that. And then there's talking to John, there's a House Bill 924, which is road and bridge money that got put aside, and we're going to spend the interest off of that. So we could maybe use that for the McCabe Road and do treatment on the pavement surface that we have there. It's 80-20 money, 80 state, 20 matching, so that's something John from Interstate's gonna look at. And I guess then we had a fire chiefs meeting last night, and Roosevelt County's very fortunate to have fire chiefs that are extremely involved and just they want to keep training going, they want to keep their equipment up. It's just it's a very good group of guys that we have for Roosevelt County Fire Chiefs, and Freud, Bangle, Culbertson, Hopper, and Wolf Point. Good programs, good leaders there. That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
Tuesday afternoon, attended the Montana Department of Transportation, their district meeting, annual district meeting. I guess once a year they come up, go through their funds, what they have scheduled for road construction, safety projects. One of the safety projects down by Rodeo Road, they've got one on each side of Highway 2. On Highway 13, there's some flashing lights there. There's one up on Highway 250. Do they have one by 528 or no? They put one in there yet? They're working on those, gonna get some power and everything hooked into those. So kind of updates on that. Doesn't look like a lot of construction in the area. They were able to go through and do a lot of bridges in Daniels County and Valley County. So just attended that, their annual meeting on that. The road department, they're starting to pull shoulders in while the ground is soft. I have gotten a few phone calls from some people that are not excited about that, but it's something that has to be done. Pull the shoulders in, they're trying to get a crown back on the road again. Some of these roads have gotten widened out way past recommended width. I'm not, and I know Derek's not advocating pulling them into 24-foot, but we got to pull those shoulders in to get the roads tuned back up again, try and get a crown put on them. So it's the battle of double-edged sword, right? Nobody likes to drive through road construction, but you sure like to drive on a nice road. So I just ask people to be a little bit patient with that. Today, the road guys are attending a blade training seminar over in Glasgow. Derek messaged me this morning. He said it's very, very informative up there. So some of the issues that some of the blade guys have been fighting with on blading the roads, he said this is very good. So hopefully they can bring some of that back home and utilize some of that training. Aside from that, much like Doug, I was out in and out of the office with some medical and stuff, but business as usual, keeping up on emails. We have any other questions, comments on commissioners' updates? Okay, seeing none, we will move into minutes. Do we have a motion on the minutes for the regular public meeting on March 31st?
Motion approved.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Minutes for the month of March 2026. Do we have a motion? Motion. Second. Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Minutes for the special meeting on April 6th, 2026.
I'll make a motion approved.
Second.
Motion in a second. Any discussion? This was the meeting with Mako representatives on the health insurance. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Moving down to the minutes for the tax deed sale of April 6th, 2026. Do we have a motion? Motion
I'll second it.
and a second. Any discussion?
This is the first time I ever known that we've sold every item on the sale. No open items.
Very, very productive tax deed sale. Everything.
For the one before that, we didn't sell all of them.
Same,
Figure that out.
same properties,
Same properties,
6 months prior.
a little less price.
But we were able to get all those tax deed properties sold, which is great for Roosevelt County. They're off of our liability, and I do believe it'll be great for the city of Wolf Point where they can get back on the tax roll again. So, all in favor?
Yeah.
Opposed? Passed. Moving into administrative issues. Motion on the weed department request to purchase a skid sprayer.
We'll second
Motion and a second. This is for the weed department to purchase a 200-gallon skid sprayer. Will be rigged up with 200 foot, a half-inch line that they can utilize as a sprayer. Logan said for the time being, they're probably going to use this as a tender rig, but he will get it in service for more spraying purposes. So it's kind of a dual purpose. There's money available in the budget. This unit is $4,872. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion pass. Moving on to the discussion on interstate engineering GIS services proposal. I think before we entertain any motion, we'll let John kind of explain what he's got for us here.
it. No motion, this is just discussion.
Yep, so we met Jason Boucher, who's our head GIS guy out of Sheridan, Wyoming. Came up, met with the commissioners and Clayton as well. In trying to help the county out as a transition when Clayton retires here at the end of June. So Jason put together a cost estimate and a scope outline here. I guess I'll just first note that the all the cost estimates are estimates. They would be charged hourly, so that's not a lump sum deal. With the exception of task number 1, because that's pretty straightforward as far as what would need to be done. But the on-call and the staff training and whatnot is really an hourly deal with an estimate, because we don't know what that would all entail, how long that would last, things like that. So I'll back up. So task number 1 is basically working with Clayton and you guys, doing the initial intake of the information for the GIS system, going over kind of learning how the county currently operates and whatnot. Identify what the data sets are and how Clayton has done it, basically working with him on that. Developing a workflow mapping, and then some quality and standards assessments, and then a delivery preparation. So that would be basically creating a consolidated GIS workflow document packet, and then provide a risk and transition assessment highlighting vulnerabilities during staff transition. So the ultimate goal here is for the county to hire a GIS replacement for Clayton. And we're just trying to help in that transition there is in that interim time. So that kind of moves into task number 2. So task number 2 is basically maintaining the day-to-day operations of the county after Clayton has left, and making sure that when you do hire somebody, that transition can go as seamless as possible. So that also includes basically doing what Clayton does on a day-to-day basis, and having somebody in our organization do that for the county. So that includes working with the Next Gen 911, working with elections department and public works, respond to any requests for any maps, spatial data, addressing, things like that, and then basically maintain that for a period of time until a new replacement is found. Task number 3 would be staff training, so that is after you do hire a replacement for Clayton. To get them up to speed, again, with the unknown of who that replacement would be, what their level of education is or the experience. That would be variable as well, but also, you know, as I said, we gonna go through a training assessment with them and then customize a training plan to get them up to speed and working with the county on how to take that over. And then that kind of moves into task number 2, or I'm sorry, task number 4, as the on-site technical support. I don't want to say on-site because it would be virtual, but there would be some on-site, but that would be technical support for that new person when they do come get into the full role of the GIS coordinator for the county. So if you look at I believe it's sheet number 5, it gives kind of a breakdown of what the estimated hours are for each one of the tasks, and then a total for a fee at the end. So task 1, there's an estimated fee, $23,760. Task number 2 would be the support as that in that interim time. Obviously, if that GIS person is hired right away, that would be considerably lower, but that's just estimated right now at, I believe he had a total of I'm up here, around $300, I believe, in there for Jason's time. Is that's at $52,200. Then GIS staff training at 25,000. Task number 3, 25,200, and then the technical support he estimated at 25,680. So, like I said, this would all, with the exception of task number 1, would all be on an hourly basis. So, Jason tried to estimate kind of a worst case scenario, but like I mentioned, with the unknown of timing and education of a replacement, we thought hourly would be the most appropriate work for the county to do.
Okay. Any questions, any discussion on the GIS information?
Really, the biggest thing is that task 1 is what has to be done. Task 1 and 2, other than that, depends on what happens. We could stay in that task 2 for a couple of years.
Yeah, right. It could. So, and there is obviously with that task 2, there's, you know, the initial, that part of that task 1 and task 2 overlap where there's that initial setup and whatnot. But I think once it gets, say we continue it for 2 years or 3 years, whatever it ends up being, that cost will obviously go down after the first year.
In engineering, saying costs are gonna go down. How about costs will maybe level?
I would be willing to, well, like I said, task 1 won't have to happen again.
Yeah, right.
So that's cost down.
I think a lot of it is initial front loaded. Once everything is rolling through the process, then I would imagine in a long term, it would not take as long.
Correct.
But a lot of these are, you know, time frame sketched out here in 5 months, 6 months, I guess. So going to be a lot of upfront, but I think the longer the duration, it would even out a little bit more.
What are your thoughts, Clayton?
It's got to be done.
And like I said, our ultimate goal isn't, I mean, we'll help the county out as much as we can and as long as we need. But the ultimate goal isn't for us to take over the GIS, it's for to have a county employee take that over and just help with that transition.
Interstate's long-term plan is not to be GIS services for Roosevelt County. It's just-
And I mean, if that's something the county is interested in, we could look into that. As far as from a cost standpoint, I don't think it makes sense for the county. I mean, for us to do that is long term.
It's a good system, good program. I think we need to make sure it gets transition, so out of Clayton's hand into kind of the general hands, and then we can move on to someone we hired.
Right now, I got an email this last few days. It says that 911 is being held up by the GIS programs of the nation. So the telcos or telephone companies are ready to, the trial is ready to go on it. It's just that the mapping and the accuracy of mapping and people's site locations are not up to speed. We're at about 98,
I was gonna say we're a long
98
ways down the road.
98.6% on the new enhanced stuff with a lot of counties that are just getting started on it. So we're handing the next person that comes in place pretty good data. So
Well, we're middle of April, your last day is
31st of May.
May 31st, so we've got 45 days. So 45 days to basically get task one and two.
Basically task one and then start on task two to get, if there are any issues as we get transitioned.
This is just discussion today, so I say we put it on next Tuesday's meeting to approve the task orders as presented.
Okay,
And we can't really do anything.
no action, just requested to be put on next meeting.
It's a good proposal, I think.
I will prepare a task orders for next.
Okay. Moving down.
I would like to just comment as a county employee and commend Clayton for the work he has done the last so many years.
And I will note that Roosevelt County does have one of the probably best, if not better, if not best, 911 or I'm sorry, GIS systems in the state. I agree with that.
Good old Phil.
Yeah, he's not gonna,
Big boots.
that's not gonna fit through the door on the ladies.
It will.
We appreciate it, David.
Thanks.
Okay, moving on, motion on the report of investments and pledged securities for March 31st, 2026. Makes motion, second.
I'll second
Motion second, any discussion on that? These are put together by the treasurer's office. Finances looking pretty strong from what I can tell. Any further discussion? You have a discussion. Call for the vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Pass. Moving down, libraries request to purchase chairs. We have a motion.
Motion to accept the bid from Will's Office Road.
Board makes a motion. We have a second. This is for chairs for the library. Total amount of $5,586. This looks like 17 chairs. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Moving on to claims for April 9th, 2026 in the amount of $267,303.94.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Motion in a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Passed. Down to pay raises, pay raise for Jake Flynn of the road department. Second, moving him, Jake, up one level. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion on road department employee pay raise, Gail Stranlin.
Second it.
Motion is second. Gail also is moving up one in the pay scale. Any discussion?
He's doing that North Main area. He's been doing a good job with it. All traffic. It's helped a lot having him up there.
He was the additional guy that was put on for that spare blade we have, correct?
Yep.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve pay raise for Ty Smith of the treasurer's office. Motion approved.
Second.
Motion in the second. Ty is moving up one range as well. Any discussion? All in favor? Treasurer's office pay raise, Kagan Ross Kelly. We have a motion?
Second.
Motion in a second, moving up one range as well. Any discussion? All in favor?
Yep, right.
Pay raise for Clarice Chalstrom from Aging Services. Do we have a motion?
Second.
Motion in a second. She is out of the Freud area. She will be moving up one range as well from Aging Services. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Right.
Motion for pay raise for Stacy Green in dispatch. Motion approved.
Second.
Motion in a second. Stacy's moving up one grade. And range did drop down a little bit for the pay scale. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Right.
Motion passed. Pay raise for detention center employee Nathaniel Clark. Do we have a motion? Motion approved.
Second.
Motion in a second.
This is a promotion. Dollar an hour.
Yes, it is. This is a promotion. Thank you. This is, he's moving up to sergeant. With that sergeant, he'll get $1 an hour raise. So this is a promotion. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Right.
Motion passed. Detention pay raise for Dyson Russell. Do we have a motion? Motion approved.
Second.
Motion and second. This is one range. Any other discussion? All in favor? Passed. Motion for a pay raise for library employee Heather Grandvoice. Motion approved.
Second.
Motion and second. This is moving up one range as well. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Right.
Motion for pay raise for library employee Mary Drake.
Second.
Motion and second. This also is moving up one range. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Right.
Motion passed. No new hires. Any other business? I'd entertain a motion to close.
Second.
Motion second. We are closed.